I want you to watch this clip of Ben Shapiro debating a student on a campus about Israel fighting Hamas, because it's a rather revealing discussion. Have a watch of this.
I want to do a thought experiment for the audience. You push a button right now, Hamas is gone from the earth. Call it whatever you want, it's gone. What do Israeli-Palestinian relations look like?
So the answer is that it...
No, I'm going to tell you the answer.
Well, then that's not a question.
No, that was my framing of the question.
At a certain point,
the answer,
as long as you get to a question mark at the end, we're good.
There's a question.
Okay. Sometime in the near future.
What does the West Bank look like? Who administers the West Bank?
You know, I got the question.
It's the Palestinian Authority, who cooperates, they're docile, they work with the Israeli government.
Also funding terrorists.
And what do you see in the West Bank? Day in, day out, ethnic cleansing. People getting kicked out of their homes. In the middle of the night, the Israeli...
Yeah, if they're suspected of being involved in a terror attack against innocent Israelis.
Defense force.
Is
the
there
Orwellian... Listen,
okay.
there are questions coming very soon, sir. I appreciate your time. Listen, people being pulled out of their homes, watching their homes demolished while their children cry.
Where's the question?
The question is, do Palestinians have the right to defend themselves?
So, can I ask a quick counter question? If by Palestinians defending themselves, is Hamas a terrorist group?
Sure.
Should Hamas surrender tomorrow?
It's not for me to say.
Okay, so...
Should Israel stop dropping one-ton
hold on a second.
No.
You got to talk for several minutes and spew complete bullshit. So now it's my turn. So, because that's how this works. This is a dialogue. This is a dialogue. No, so let me explain, okay? Here is my perspective. My perspective on this is very clear, which is that what is happening right now in Gaza is horrific and a tragedy, and every ounce of blood that is being spilled is on Hamas. Hamas initiated this conflict. There was a ceasefire all the way up till October 6th. On October 7th, they stormed into Israel, murdered 1,500 people, and took 200 people hostage back into Gaza. They then planted themselves in terror tunnels that they've spent billions of dollars building, that they robbed from their own population, underneath civilian populations, including the Al-Shifa hospital. They have hundreds of thousands of gallons of fuel underneath Al-Shifa hospital being used solely and completely to fund their terrorism. And you say Hamas should not surrender. Now, here's the deal. The minute Hamas surrenders, the bloodshed stops. It is that simple. As far as the Palestinian Authority has on its books laws that pay terrorists who kill Jews. They do get actual stipends that outgross the actual yearly earnings of Palestinians. Don't shake your head at me when what you're saying is factually untrue. So, what is going to happen next after Hamas is gone? The answer very much depends on whether the Palestinians ever decide to put in place a government that is willing to not attempt to genocidally exterminate the Jews. Israel pulled out of the Gaza Strip in 2005 completely. There were no Jews in the Gaza Strip in 2006.
The United Nations Security Council still considers them an effective occupier when they control the ports, the air spaces, all the territorial
Okay, so number one, you have to control...
They're incorrect on that fact.
On what
you're
fact?
presenting as a fact.
On
it's
what
not
fact?
A fact?
They did pull out.
They pulled out physically, but they control...
but not mentally or emotionally.
No.
Okay.
I just explained how they did pull out.
As far as the ports, as far as the airspace, of course they have to prevent the shipment in of weaponry. Why? Because every single dollar that went into the Gaza Strip was used to build the greatest terror base on planet Earth, and we are watching the consequences of that right this very instant. Israel has complete air superiority over the Gaza Strip. If Israel truly wanted to commit human rights violation, they could literally turn the place into glass tomorrow. They are not doing that.
Listen to me. The West Bank, explain the settlements. Is that Hamas's fault?
What? First, okay. So first, you need to. So first, can we finish with the? Are we done with Gaza? We're done with Gaza. So now we're moving to the West Bank.
I'm not going to separate them fully. No.
Of course, you're not going to separate them fully because you won't even say that Hamas should surrender.
I'm not in charge of Hamas.
That's such a ridiculous answer.
I'm not.
You're not in charge of Israel either, but you're dictating policy.
That's right.
You
never answered my question.
I'm happy to answer your question.
Do Palestinians have the right to defend themselves?
If by defend themselves you mean murder innocent civilians, then no, they do not. Well, clearly you do, because you don't want Hamas to surrender.
No,
that's what they are doing. They are murdering innocent Israeli civilians. They're murdering innocent Palestinian civilians. They are murdering anyone they can find. They're literally shooting people on the roads from North Gaza to South Gaza right now to tell them to go back and act as human shields for their rockets. That is what Hamas is doing right now, and you won't call on them to surrender. I'm done with this guy. We're done. We're done.
You're not done.
We're done. Yes, I am.
No, you're not.
Goodbye.
You know what I've been thinking as I'm watching this discussion? what we're seeing here is that when Israel does just basic counter measures, basic preventative measures to protect herself, to protect her own population, that's considered oppressive, it's considered tyrannical, it's considered immoral. So when Israel will go into Palestinians' homes, or Arabs, should I say, into their homes, and seeks out terrorists or tries to foil terror plots that were attempted to be carried out among Israelis, among Jews, that's considered tyrannical. So terrible. The Palestinian Authority are fine. It's all lies that they fund terrorists, and they do. They pay the salaries to those that Israel will jail once they've committed their terror attacks. And then he says it's unacceptable that Israel has a blockade on Gaza, which only came into play after they gave away Gaza and Hamas started sending in rockets every day into Israel, firing them at the Israeli population. So we can't blockade, and that's tyrannical if Israel blockades. So you're saying that, and by the way, all the blockade does is just monitors, censors what's going into Gaza to ensure there's no weaponry that goes in there. But no, that's tyrannical. It's oppressive. So you're saying that we can't do what we need to do simply to live. Even with the settlements, we should just accept that the Palestinian Authority run areas and any kind of future Palestinian state, God forbid, by the way, but it will be Jew-free, without Jews living there. The settlements are the ancient historic homeland of the Jewish people, Judea and Samaria. It's where so many of the great stories of the Bible come from. And so the point is that we've got to realize that there's nothing that Israel could do or say that could please people like this guy, other than to surrender and fall on its sword. So therefore, we have to stop trying to appease these people, because there's nothing you can do that will appease. And actually, by trying to dance to their tunes, by doing things like leaving Gaza, which is part of the historic homeland of the Jewish people, all it does is feed them to think, let's try and bite off a bit more. Let's go a bit further. Let's see if we can turn public opinion even more against Israel. The lesson of this conversation is Israel should instead just do exactly what she needs to do, not just to survive, but to thrive. Because, again, what we're seeing here is that the issue of Israel's existence and the displacement of the Arabs, it was never really about a legitimate grievance. None of the things he's saying here are a legitimate grievance. The grievance is the Jewish people live. The Jewish people thrive. The Jewish people belong in the land of Israel. That's the grievance. And that's not a legitimate grievance. We faced a grievance of our existence throughout all of our history, whether in exile or back in our land, both 2,000 years ago or today. The grievance is against God's plan. God's plan as the Jewish people being his chosen people, chosen to be his voice to the world. That's what it is. It's not about some legitimate concern that we just want to live alongside you and then we'll be fine, then we can have our two-state solution. It's the same old ancient hatred. And therefore, let's not try to dance to it or appease it or bury our heads in the sand. Let's march forward in doing what our mission is. And that will be the sure way to truly deliver long-term peace, stability, and goodness for the whole world, because it will be fulfilling our destiny, which is central to the world's destiny. Hi, thank you so much for watching. To watch another one, click here. To stay up to date with all our content, click here to subscribe. And if you're able to, you can help support JTV to grow and grow by clicking join below this video, where you can become a member and get perks including early access to videos and private live discussions with me. But most of all, you'll be partnering with us on our mission to change the world.